doing?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Not bad, man. Not bad at all.
Nice, nice. Where are you located?
I am now in the mountains in Virginia.
Nice, beautiful. Um,
We just built our dream home down here.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, me and the wife have taken some cabin vacations up in the mountains in North Carolina, and once I seen the mountains for the first time, I'm just like, yeah, this is God's land right here.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. I look out my window and think God has blessed me greatly
Oh yeah, God is good every day.
all the time.
So I came across. I was actually now on my channel. I'm going through all the breeds right now that I define as good working dogs, and so I was like, okay, let me start looking into some Boston Terriers. Do they really work? And couldn't find many, but then I came across the Boston Bulldog. Now, and your story. I'd like to know, like, how did this start? How did this idea come about?
Well, my dad back in the early 80s, I'd say, probably late 70s, early 80s, he initially started having a conversation with Dave Levitt years and years ago about the old English Bulldog and where it was going.
Yeah.
And they were a little bigger than what he wanted. We looked at Staffy Bulls. My dad had game dogs. I mean, like every Bulldog man in the world initially,
Yeah.
we started out with game dogs. And he wanted something that didn't have, because at the time, I mean, and still today, they get a bad name.
Yeah, for sure.
He wanted something that was no bigger than an average game dog, but had the ability to do stuff.
Mm.
And so he started working on putting together what is now the old Boston Bulldog. And I mean, I've got pictures of me at 7 years old with Bulldogs that were early old Boston Bulldogs.
Okay.
And I'm 40. Oh, crap. I'll be 46 next month.
Okay. Wow.
So
So,
almost 40 years ago.
geez, that's a serious chunk of time.
Well, and we have, I mean, and the thing is if it's not healthy or if it doesn't work, it doesn't get bred.
Yeah, and I think a lot more people involved in the dog business need to up their standards a little more, especially today.
I would tend to agree with you. I mean, I look at, like, I like to keep a Terrier on hand. And I'm not trying, and I probably shouldn't even go there, but I like to keep Terriers on hand to go to ground or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'll go through 10 Terriers to get a good one.
Okay. Now, what kind of terriers? Like the Jag or the Patterdale?
I've had a bunch of Jag. I've had a bunch of Patterdales. From my perspective, a Jag is a bay dog. I mean, I had one or two that would rough it up, you know. I mean, they would go in. But
Okay.
for the most part, and even if they did go in, they'd stay in there for 5 or 6 minutes or whatever, and then back up and start baying.
I gotcha.
That's not the kind of dog I want.
Right. So, what would you say?
I had Jack Russells when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
and all of them came direct. Well, I mean, for the most part, directly from England. And them dogs was tough, man.
So you would say the Jack Russell is probably the toughest you've seen out of the Terriers?
Oh, not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, I don't know what the deal is, man. It was so hard to find good, tough Jacks. Even say, I got rid of my I lost my last Jack Russell about 15 years ago, and I've been putting out calls right now. I talked to a lady the other day that said her dogs don't work. I said, why do you have Jack Russell?
Yeah.
She said, well, mine are calm. They can stay in the house and they don't drive people nuts. Well, that's not what Jack Russell is.
Yeah. It's not what it was bred for.
Yeah. So just, I mean, modern day, it's what people were doing. I guess I'm backwoods enough that just doesn't work for me. I want my dogs to do something, serve a purpose of some kind.
Right. So, okay, what went into the old Boston Bulldog? Like, how did that come about? I guess my question is more along the lines of, did your dad already like pre-think the whole thing out, or did he just kind of experiment with some breeds and, just see where it went?
He had a thought process on it. Okay. However, some things didn't work, so you didn't leave that in there.
I gotcha.
If it detracted from the workability, you didn't use that and go forward. Because I'm sure I don't tell nobody what's in the old Boston Bulldog. I get flack for it. I don't care.
Right.
It's one of them things where it's my working breed. My dad created the breed. Mm-hmm. I don't have to tell anybody anything I don't want to.
I gotcha. I fully understand. Now, as far as their makeup, is there a set like height and weight for the breed?
No height. No height. Height. We like for them to go between 25 and 45 pounds. Okay. Because the Boston Terrier cutoff is 25 pounds.
Okay.
And if you go over 45 pounds, I mean, it's becoming a big dog. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the other thing that I explain to people now, I mean, because I do get quite a few more calls than I used to, is when I say I got a 45-pound dog, it's a 45-pound dog in shape.
Yeah.
It's not a 45-pound dog sitting on a couch eating food all day.
Right.
You know where I'm coming from, but I do have to explain that to people because I get calls back and say, man, my dog weighs 55 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, send me a picture of your dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, your dog's fat as a pig.
Yeah, let me see the ribs. I want to see the muscle structure and everything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I ran into the same thing, in Rottweilers. I have a great Rottweiler. He kind of just changed my views on the whole breed. He's amazing. But he's 100 pounds flat. And a lot of guys say to me, well, my Rottweiler's 180 pounds. I'm like, your Rottweiler's going to die. Like, what is wrong with you? My Rottweiler is, tall. He's still built. He's still athletic. He still keeps up with my little pit bull in the yard when they're running back and forth. And I'm like, why would you want a dog that can't go outside and be a dog?
Agreed, 100%.
What are your plans moving forward? Is there any big announcements you want to put out there? Are you getting ready to? Are there future breedings that you're excited about, or anything along those lines?
There are. I have got a dog right now coming to me from California. Mm-hmm. That he's 9 years old, and the guy has done some breeding out there, and he's had dogs off me off and on over the years. And he's coming back, and I'm going to use him in my program to get the blood back that he has that I have not right on my yard close up in a long time. And there's also a guy in Canada who has a 13-year-old male that I'm trying to get semen shipped in from right now.
Nice.
So I'm trying to draw some of the old blood closer back to what my dad's stock was, back up to the front. My dogs are the exact same thing his were, but you keep what you like. And this is the thing with an old Boston Bulldog. I gave a buddy of mine years and years ago, when my dad passed away, I gave him 5 or 6 old Boston Bulldogs. He bred them for 20 years.
Yeah.
His old Boston Bulldog yard looked completely different than my old Boston Bulldog yard.
Hmm.
Because he bred for what he liked. I bred for what I liked. I bred for a longer-legged, more agile, more able to move dog. He liked a little more compact, little squattier dog.
Mm-hmm.
But they both still had the ability.
They both still worked.
Absolutely. So then when he passed away 5 or 6 years ago, I brought some of the dogs back up here that he had at his house and used them in my program, which they were Rutan blood. So it didn't, no big surprise to everybody, but they were Rutan blood, so I used them back in the program. And honestly, now all the dogs 6 years later that have been kept back off that look like my style of dog. So it's one of them things where it does help me for other people to breed.
Right.
Because, and that's no surprise to anybody either, because if other people are breeding, it takes the load off me quite a bit. I don't have to have a huge yard of dogs. I can have what I got and just go back to stock that I've sold to people over the years and get something back off of that.
I gotcha. Now, in your experience, percentage-wise, how many dogs out of a litter, percentage-wise, do you wind up saying, like, I really like this. This is uniform. This is what I'm after?
I would say, well, and I'm going to be honest, I'm horrible with puppies. I'd much rather be looking at a 6-month-old dog.
Right.
So I'm going to say on a 6-month-old litter, I'd say 75% of them is something that I would love to keep on my yard. Which I think might be high. And it also depends on the drive, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can have the greatest looking dog, and I can give you an example of that too. I mean, I can have the greatest looking dog in the world, and if that sucker ain't got the drive I want, I'll give him away.
Right.
I had a big time American Bulldog guy in Ohio come out to look at my old Boston when I first got out of service. So it's been 25 years ago. And he said, you got a male available? I said, yeah, man. I said, he's almost 2 years old. I said, but he ain't what I want. He said, well, can I see him? I said, absolutely, man. So I showed him to him. I said, I really don't think he should be bred. I said, because you don't have at this age, he doesn't have the drive. And obviously, dogs turn on at different ages.
Yeah.
And he did eventually become a dog and would kill coons and stuff. But, I mean, he just, at that point, at that stage in his life, was not there. And I told the dude, said, what do you want for him? I said, man, I saw him to you for $100.
Yeah.
He gave me $100 and said, you are nuts. He said, I'd give you $1,000 for that dog. Man. I said, yeah, but that dog ain't what I'm going for.
I respect that. Quality over money.
Absolutely. Well, and I get calls all the time about stud services. I've never studded one of my dogs out to a dog that was not bought off me.
That makes sense.
Because I ain't going to go there. It just causes bad feelings between people. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right, man. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, just so you know, I mean, I know that there's a lot of different looking old Boston Bulldogs out there. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, to be technical about it, if it didn't come from me or my dad, it's not an old Boston Bulldog.
Right.
Or somebody who got dogs from us.
I gotcha. You know, I'm kind of on the same boat myself. I used to really want to have a huge yard with, kennels and all that. Now I'm like, you know what? I really want a Bandog program, a working Bandog program, and I'm getting a boar bull in a week. from a good
I
friend of
heard
mine.
that, and I'll be honest, they've always interested me, man. I'm not trying to cut you off, but they have always interested me.
If I take that and breed it to a good game female, I'm just going to see what happens then. But I'm just going to call it a Lawton dog and keep it at that. You want a dog from me? That's what it'll be called. And by then, it might have some other strain in it of some sort. I don't know. It's just something I want to do for me and my family, you know?
Absolutely.
Especially in these uncertain times. I mean, you got to have a ready and able dog these days. Like, it's definitely an asset.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
So, what would you say your all-time favorite, if you could pick one, who would it be and why? As far as the dogs you produced, the dogs your dad produced, is there one that sticks out in your head?
There's a few of them that stick out in my head, man. And
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. One of them was, in my opinion, I don't like tricolor.
Mm-hmm.
Never have liked tricolor. It's just not my thing.
Right.
I went down and picked up a tricolor female, and I don't even know where the tricolor comes from. I'll start out with that too. I've had people say, "Oh, he put rat terrier in his dog." Well, what kind of drive does a rat terrier have? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being
Right.
let's use a little common sense here.
Yeah.
That's probably going to make somebody mad too. But that's okay.
That's what we're here for.
She was tricolor, a blue tri at that, and she didn't have a short nose. She had a longer muzzle. But, dude, she was the epitome of drive.
Okay.
I mean, there was nothing on 4 feet. Well, she was non-dog aggressive. I'll start out with that. But there was nothing else on 4 feet that she would not catch.
Nice. So she was a great pack animal on top of it. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was 35 pounds of just complete fury. And I've got her grandson here now.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Cash. And I
Now,
took him in, I bought some
not to cut you off, what was her name?
Her name was Trinity.
Trinity. So her grandson is Cash. Okay, continue.
Yes. And I took Cash. I bought some wild hogs just to, got to keep the dogs on their toes, man.
Right, for sure.
And brought them in when I lived in Ohio. And I took Cash in. He had never seen a hog. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to show it to him, see how he reacted, whatever, man.
Mm.
And initially, he hit the wire, trying to get him. And I said, well, crap, man, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And I backed up a little bit, and he quit hitting the wire. And I was like, I wonder what he's doing. That sucker looked up and started to climb the wire, buddy.
Nice.
You know what that tells me? That tells me that dog has got a lot of intelligence.
Yeah. And an insane fight drive on top of it.
Yeah, he had already deduced, I can't get through this wire. So I'm going over top.
Yeah, I want this fight. I want to fight.
Absolutely.
I love that quality in a dog. I love it when I see that, well, today, obviously, a lot of things have been made illegal to prove what a dog is really made of. But the fact that hog hunting is still alive and well, for the record, I've never done it, but I'm freaking fascinated by it. The fact that that's still alive and well is such a good thing, because I feel like if that wasn't still going strong, just the sport of hog dogging, I feel like so many breeds would have fell off the map.
I agree. 100%.
I mean, look at the pit bull terrier. A lot of these guys know that, they don't take the risk to fight them anymore, but they get them kind of acclimated to a more of a pack mentality, and these dogs are crazy on a hog.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. And the hog dog size. I was going to say, what do you think the perfect hog dog size is? Because I've talked to a bunch of hog dog people.
Well, I think it all depends, because, and like I said, I've never been on a hog hunt, but just from my studies and watching, a bunch of videos and stuff, I feel like size only plays a role depending on how many bay dogs are present and, enough distraction for the hog. Now, I've seen a video, I can't remember what it was. It might have been I think it was a Patterdale, a little Patterdale, where they dropped him over the fence. And I mean, on a big ass hog. And
Yeah.
he grabs the hog by the face, and the hog's whipping him around trying to get him off, and the little shit just won't stop. And so in that sense, I'm like, man, I don't know if size plays. Obviously, you'll want a bigger dog to do the job guaranteed. But I think, in essence, I don't think size actually plays a role if the dog has enough fight in him. Like, I mean, obviously you're not going to go with a little teacup chihuahua, but as far as like the the real working terrier breeds, I put a lot of bank on a good working terrier. And
absolutely.
I think,
and that's why it is so instrumental. I mean, especially if you're coon hunting, groundhog hunting, whatever, to have that terrier. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And, I mean, because my dogs ain't going in a hole.
Right.
I mean, it's just too big. If they don't catch it on top of the ground, buddy, I mean, it's away from us. It's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going back to you saying you always keep a couple good terriers if you can. Do you take those terriers and breed them into your Boston Bulldogs?
No, that would just drop your size down.
I gotcha.
I mean, that would, that wouldn't help you out at all, in my opinion. I mean,
right.
Dropping your size down. I mean, I see dogs, and there's quite a few old Boston Bulldogs that don't meet standard, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that 25 to 45 pounds, and I'll be honest with you, I go for the 35 to 45 pound dogs. I like a 35 to 45 pound dog. I prefer it. The 25 pound dogs take a little more of a beating. I mean, you catch a big coon. Coons are tough. You don't want to have a coon that's bigger than the dog.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a personal opinion on that. But I like the dogs to be, I like them to be 35, 45 pounds. They're a little more durable.
Well, okay. Going forward in the future, anybody who would want to be interested in this breed or be interested in even breeding these dogs, what is the first thing you would tell them? Like, this is what you need to know up front, based on respecting the breed that, your father and you have developed. What's the first thing you would tell people up front before getting involved?
If you're going to get to breed, make sure you have an outlet for the dog of some kind. I mean, whether it be a yard for them to run in, some kind of energy burning outlet. Don't get that dog and expect that dog to just sit on the couch all day long.
Right.
I mean, it is a working dog. If you're looking at breeding, shoot, call me, man. I'm the easiest guy in the world to get along with.
I gotcha.
I mean, I started a guy out in Texas and told him, I said, stick with me, man, and I'll take care of you. And then he went out and got some dogs that weren't from me and was using them in his program and called me and wanted a dog. And I said, man, I ain't got no dogs for you.
Yeah. I gotcha.
The thing is, man, I'm going to say this, and I don't know you. A Boston Terrier to an English Bulldog is not an old Boston Bulldog.
Right. I gotcha. And who would use an English Bulldog anyway?
What was that?
Said who would use an English Bulldog anyway? Now, I do like the oldies, but to an extent. It
happens all the time. It happens all the time.
You mean like the short
Boston Terrier? Huh?
You mean the short, squatty Bulldogs, and they're breeding them to Boston Terriers and trying to mimic
and calling them old Boston Bulldogs.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty shady, actually, as far as
and a French Bulldog to a Boston Terrier is not an old Boston Bulldog.
Right.
And I mean, to each his own.
Right.
But don't call them old Boston Bulldogs.
Right. So basically, going back to your other statement, just for my people listening, you have no issue with dealing with people and helping people get started, but you want them to stick to the script, basically. Exactly.
And don't get me wrong. There is a place in an old Boston Bulldog for an outcross.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that needs to be discussed and mulled over. And you don't just grab the first dog you roll up on and say, "Oh crap, I'm using this."
Right. Yeah, that's
It's got to be a right fit.
for sure. Well, yeah, that's like going back to this Borbal. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't show the drives I want, I'm just gonna have it as a house pet, and I'm not gonna breed it. I think I think there's way too many breeders in the dog world now, or I can't even call them breeders, just people that stick two dogs together that happen to be male and female, and they're thinking dollar signs and they're not thinking progress.
Absolutely, buddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, because not that I'm able even to keep a pup out of every litter,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm looking for what I need to add to my program with every breeding I do.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then I'll be straight with you on this too. Like if I say, okay, I'm keeping a pup off this breeding, and then I look at the pups once the breeding's done and go, I don't think that's going to work for me. I don't keep a pup off that litter.
I gotcha.
Because I have specific things I need. Like this is another thing I do that, I mean, which is where I say that the looks of the dogs can vary.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I take a longer nosed male or a longer nosed female and breed it to a shorter nosed male or a shorter nosed female.
Try to find the happy medium.
Yes.
I gotcha.
I don't breed short nosed dog to short nosed dog to short nosed dog. Well, crap, if I do that, I'm going right back to a Boston Terrier or whatever.
Right.
They're all going to look, and if they all look identical, you might as well just have Boston Terriers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Now, do you think true working Boston Terriers are still out there? Because I haven't found any myself. Not yet, anyway. I'm not saying there isn't.
There was a guy that sent me a video. I don't know who he is. I'm going to be honest. I get videos all the time. But a guy sent me a video from overseas of a Boston Terrier doing bite work.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen.
Wow.
I mean, it was unbelievable watching this little. I mean, here's the key to it: the dog weighed 15 pounds, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he wasn't really inflicting a whole lot of. But the dude had the tenacity, and he had the want to. So I'm not going to say there's not one out there.
Right.
I'm just saying they're probably far and few between.
Right.
And I got a lot of friends in the Boston Terrier world, too, you can imagine.
Right, yeah, for sure. As far as color, you say you stay away from the tricolor. Now, what are the usual colors that come from your litters?
I'm going to be honest, I get pretty much a rainbow of colors, but no merle.
Well, that's good.
And I personally do try to stay away from the tricolor.
I gotcha.
I mean, the tricolor, I'm going to be honest, for whatever reason, like if I breed a blue or a blue brindle or whatever male to a blue or blue brindle female, I get tricolor.
Okay.
Trinity was a line bred female. It was a father-daughter breed. And she came out tricolor.
Okay.
And I can trace them dogs back. And there's no tricolor. So I don't understand it. But, I mean, I guess beyond me, I guess. I bred a chocolate dog to a blue brindle dog, and I didn't get a blue or a red in that litter. Not one. I just bred to a blue tri-male off of Trinity. That's a buddy of mine in Maryland's got. And I will see. I mean, I don't want tri, but I wanted to put Trinity back closer in the pedigree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back into what I've got on the yard here. And so we'll see. I mean, I bred two gyps to him, and we'll see if I get tricolor. I hope I don't, honestly, but
Right.
I don't want people shopping for color. Hey, I got a question for you. You talking Bandog? You know Joe Lacero?
I've read about him. I've read an article about him. The Lucero Bandogs. Yeah.
He had old Boston Bulldogs off me, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he
That's
used to
cool.
use them for personal protection work.
That's awesome.
I'll tell you right now, I like Patterdales. I like Jag Terriers. And I'll be honest, I've been looking for a nice little Jack Russell, but dude, if I can't find the right dog, it does me no good, man.
Right.
I mean, I want something that's small and going to work and got drive out of this world. And I'll be honest, I've debated doing a pitter pat breeding or Jack Russell pit breeding or whatever, just to get what I want.
You know what? Let me know if you do, because that's something I've always wondered about. Like if you took a pit bull to a Jag or a Patterdale or even a Jack Russell, now that you mention it, I've always wondered what that would look like. I read an article once about a Ren Terrier.
Same thing. I had, believe it or not, I had a daughter to a Ren Terrier. I got her as a Patterdale. I mean, and because Patterdales are a type.
Right.
So it was a Ren Terrier was her dad, and a Patterdale female was her mom. I got her out of Michigan, and she was a tough little dog, man. And I'll be honest with you, she got a coonhound paralysis. I don't know if you've ever heard of that or not.
No.
She caught a coon, and I guess it's something only coons can get, and they can pass it to dogs, and it locks up all their muscles, and they die. I mean,
Damn.
there's not a whole lot you can do for them.
Now, is that just...
at that point, I had never heard of it.
Right. Now, is that just in certain breeds of dog, or a raccoon can pass it to anything?
Any dog.
That's scary.
And looking back, I lost an old Boston Bulldog female named Speck.
Mm-hmm.
That was very similar circumstances. And she was a coon killing machine, man. We went into a barn in Ohio and killed 52 coons.
Wow.
And when she killed the coons, no issue, I took her home. She was fine. I mean, dude, I barely had a scratch on her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not talking 52 in one day or anything.
Right.
She barely had a scratch on her, man. I took her home, put her out, went back out there, and dude, she couldn't get out of the dog box. Same thing with that Patterdale. Couldn't get out of the dog box. And died within 24 hours. I mean, it's not a long process. It's a fairly fast process. Because, I mean, can't drink, can't eat.
Yeah.
Goes down fast, buddy.
Right. How many dogs do you have currently? Like that are, well, not counting retired, just how many dogs do you have that are in the program and working and breeding at the moment?
10 of them here at the house.
Nice. Very cool. And, well, if you don't mind me asking, how many partners do you have around the country that also breed with you?
I'd say right now I'm sitting at 5.
That's cool.
But I'll be honest with you, I was telling a buddy of mine the other day in Tennessee, it would be nice if I had 2 or 3 more.
I gotcha.
So,
anyway,
man, it's been really good talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, I was just about to say the exact same thing. I really enjoyed this conversation, and if you'd be up for it, and I get some more questions rolling around in my head, I'll hit you up. Maybe we'll do a part 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
God bless you too. You have a great day.
You too, brother. Peace.
Bye.